Hello, everybody, and welcome to this next installment of Trio Leaders in Action. I'm Kimberly Jones, President of the Council for Opportunity and Education, and I'm so pleased to have Rosie Nguyen with us. She is a broadcast journalist with a background in mass communications with her degree from the University of Utah, where she participated in the Student Support Services program. She also earned her bachelor's in Spanish language and literature at Universidad de Oviedo. And then she has her master's from the University of Utah. She's a native of Salt Lake City, and she is the daughter of two Vietnam War refugees. And for a lot of her upbringing, she spent much time in her parents' restaurant, helping her family earn money, and even all the way up and through college. Professionally, she's worked at television stations in Houston, Salt Lake City, and Eugene, Oregon, and she has an array of professional accolades, including being named one of Houston's top 30 influential women in 2024. So hello, Rosie, and welcome. And I love to start each of these conversations with the same question. What is your trio story?
Oh, well, first of all, thank you, Kimberly, so much for having me here. I love being a Trio alum. I say it very, very proudly. The one question that my family always talked about is we knew we wanted to send our children to college, but how?
All
Like,
right.
how are we going to do this? We were always a family who we had goals, but we needed to put a plan in place. And my family was low income. We couldn't afford a babysitter growing up. And so my childhood very much consisted of me going to school all day and then going straight to my family's restaurant afterwards. At one point when I want to say 9 or 10, I was cashiering, um, child labor. But we couldn't afford a babysitter. And then when I talked to my junior high counselor, which was at Glendale Middle School in Salt Lake City, Utah, they said, hey, you should consider signing up for this program called Upward Bound. Upward Bound wasn't just a chapter in my life. They've become family. Upward Bound helped me apply for more than 100 scholarships because I thought any scholarship I get is one less job I don't have to work. When you apply for that many scholarships, you get a lot of rejection letters. And when I got those rejection letters, they hurt, but Upward Bound, whether it was the advisors, whether it was my friends, like they were there to just say, that's okay. Like on to the next one. Let's look at, your letter, your the applications that you submitted and see how we can tweak it. When I graduated from college, I had a total of about, I want to say 4 to 6 scholarships that were enough to cover all 4 years of college. I didn't get any of the full ride scholarships like I wanted to, but I maybe got like a $5,000 scholarship here, a 10,000 scholarship there. And when they all added up, they paid for all 4 years
Ah,
of my college. As I continued through college, I went through student support services. And from there was when they really started to support me. Okay, now we've gotten Rosie into college. How do we help her pursue this lifelong dream in journalism that she wants? We all knew that it was a competitive and a tough field to break into. So then they started helping me trying to land internships, trying to plan out a trajectory where I could develop the skills that I needed to become marketable and desired by certain employers in this news industry. So there is no doubt that without Trio, I would not be where I am today.
can you talk a little bit more about what were those experiences you had as an undergraduate that allowed you to break into broadcast news?
So if I just try to pursue journalism by itself by getting a degree at the University of Utah, I don't think I would have gotten my first job in journalism. They need to know that not only that you could write, interview people, but they needed to know that you could be presentable on air. Discussing that with my academic advisors through SSS, they said, we need to get you internships. It was another thing to say, like, hey, within our SSS network, we know this one person who's a producer at this station. We can lean on them to put in a good word for Rosie. I did a total of 3 news internships, all unpaid in my undergrad. They were about 20 hours per week. It was a lot of sacrifice. I was already working full time, I was already going to school full time. And now I'm doing this internship that's 20 hours a week, unpaid.
Beyond the academic piece, what are some other lessons that you gleaned from your experience in Trio, and how did those affect you throughout your career?
Apply for as much as you can because at the end of the day, you just need one yes. You just
Mhm.
need One, yes, whether it's a scholarship, whether it's a job. And so I had to learn that sometimes no didn't mean that, like, no, I'm not good enough. No, like, I'm not capable. It was no, it's just, it's not my time, or no,
Right.
I'm just not the person they're looking for right now. And so Trio just taught me those life skills. And plus, they gave me the support. I think my parents wanted to be that support system for me, but they didn't know how to navigate these systems. They couldn't
Right.
help me navigate financial aid or scholarships or college preparation. They were just trying to survive. A Trio gave me that support system that my parents couldn't.
What is something you think most people would be surprised to learn about broadcast journalism from you as a professional?
Broadcast journalism is changing. Television is being succeeded by social media, and that is changing what is happening to the news industry. It's heavy. A lot
Mm.
of journalists go through a term called vicarious trauma. We're not the firsthand person experiencing these things, but we're sort of front row seat at it.
Can you talk about the responsibility of making sure you're reporting accurate information and, having proper sources and things like that?
When researching, you want to double source everything, meaning you want to get information confirmed from at least two different people. Sometimes your sources get it wrong. I've seen bigger examples where national reporters have gotten um, tragedy victims' names incorrectly, saying that, like, oh, there was a plane crash. We know this many people died, and here's the name of victims, when in fact, one of those people were still surviving. I would say there's an internal battle within journalism right now as to what to cover, how to cover, and who to cover.
What else is on the horizon for you?
What I'm doing right now is I'm allowing myself to take a mental health break for the first time in my life to just sort of reevaluate things. And I want to encourage anybody, no matter where, if you're a Trio student, if you're a Trio staff member, when you're starting to feel yourself mentally get really fatigued and you're not yourself anymore, and you're sort of seeing that things are icing up around you, like, allow yourself some time to just step away and take a break.
What advice would you give to current TRIO students to encourage them on their journey as far as dreaming big and dreaming wildly?
The number one thing that has helped me the most is to focus on my own lane. Focus on you. Remember that every single person's journey is different. Just focus on being the very best person that you can be as an individual. And don't look at anybody else's lane. Focus on yourself and don't compare yourself to anybody else. Remember, document, and photograph your best moments. So
Mm.
I always save and put in a special folder all of my favorite reports that I've ever done. And on, like, my worst days, professionally, I'll open up that folder and just watch some of these stories that I've done and remember, like, oh my gosh, like, this is why I do the work that I do. Take those pieces and remind yourself why you're doing what you're doing. I also have a very dreaded folder of my worst live shots, my worst reports, because when you get a little too over your head, you want to humble yourself. You want to watch your worst pieces because you're never going to be perfect. You're never going to be the best in your industry. There's always room to improve. When you get too comfortable in your profession, it's when somebody's going to come along and take your job
Right.
from you. Keep your best work and your worst work so that you can encourage yourself on the bad days and humble yourself when you're getting a little too arrogant. Always stay true to who you are and what you want.
Thank you, Rosie. This was an amazing conversation. I know I learned a lot, and I hope folks who listened and watched also learned. You got your TRIO family rooting you on. So thank you for spending time with us.
Yes, and thank you, Kimberly. Thank you for everybody in the COE office for doing what you do, because people who do what you do make it possible for people like me to have the opportunities that I did.